the Atreyu, like the arm.
Hello and welcome to Stamaran with me, John. So today I'm going to be saving your shoes, super shoes, with a toothpick. Let's get to it. And welcome back to Stamaran with me, John. So whilst I'm still incapacitated due to a fractured elbow, I was thinking about what else can I do until I'm back up on my feet, and wanted to bring to you something that is absolutely changed the game for me in terms of how long the shoes last. And when I say I'm going to save it with a toothpick, that's true. I'm also going to save it with something called Shoe Goo. So what is it? So Shoe Goo is effectively a rubber cement. So before you apply anything to the soles of your shoes, number one, I take no responsibility if it goes wrong, and make sure that you buy this stuff, or a stuff called rubber cement. So whatever you do, I recommend doing a patch test on the shoe first. The shoes that I've used this on in the past and now, the foams have been absolutely fine, but it doesn't mean that when they change the foams on other shoes, it doesn't mean that it will be okay with this stuff. I've never found any issue whatsoever, but I recommend that you do a patch test first on the shoe, leave it to dry, and then see how it is. So I take no responsibility. Number two, do not buy glue. So I did look at some glue just as because this stuff is it's relatively expensive for what it is. It's about £15. However, you know, if you factor in the fact it's going to save your shoes, then £15, and you can get a couple of shoes out of this, so it's not too bad. But if you're going to try to go cheap on this, I've not really found anything else other than this. I've not tested rubber cement from a tin yet, so you could do that, but again, just do a patch test on that. For example, there are two circumstances which I will use the goo for. One is to repair. So give you an example here, my Adios Pro 2s. These were a slightly older shoe and they started to wear. Don't know if you can see that on the bottom there. This area began to wear away, and the moment that they start to wear or chip, or there's a scuff, then that's the kind of beginning of the end. So I got to a point where this completely just went. So these were the first shoes that I used the Shoe Goo on, and all I did was did a little patch here, just applied the goo here, and I probably did about 2 or 3 just in this bit here, and actually it's come out absolutely fantastic. It's you know, these are still shoes I can wear now. Number 2, so I use these on the Alpha Flies. So wrinkles in the Zoom X foam is fine, because that's what the foam it does. Now the midsole is where all the action happens, and these are notorious for breaking quite easily, and the moment you get a tear or anything in these, this is kind of where they start to get impacted and they can be destroyed. So after some use on the shoe, caveat is I didn't put it straight on a shoe that was brand spanking new. I wanted to save the shoe. So as you can see here, there is some on there. So this kind of like orange patch thing here, this green patch here is basically the Shoe Goo, and I basically covered the whole of the exposed foam down to here. And I have to say, I've started to peel some of it off just to show you guys. And actually underneath, I mean, I wouldn't recommend necessarily peeling it off once you put it on, only on the basis that if there are kind of some cuts and stuff in it, it might start to pull it up. But underneath, as you can see, look, I've peeled all this off, and it's actually protected it. So you can see there's some scuffs just here. You can see there's some stuff here, but that scuff has always been there. So actually this stuff on this shoe, in terms of the outsole, has been absolutely fantastic and has really protected it. So very, very impressive. It's actually, for me, saved this shoe. So you can apply the Shoe Goo to obviously the soles of your shoes. As I say, it's really good for fixing. If your upper has come detached away from the midsole of the shoe, I've not tested that out yet to see what it's like to glue it, to be used as a glue. I would probably use glue to bond the two together, and then use the shoe goo to kind of add another layer. But I would pretty much predominantly probably not use this to glue the midsole back to the shoe. But if you have, let me know how it goes, because that could be really invaluable. So what we're going to do today, we're going to try it on the Hokas, so just to give us another layer of protection. Now, whilst I think that initially the videos that I've made on this point to the outsole being probably not as hard wearing potentially as some of the others because of this exposed foam here, apply the shoe goo to the bottom of super shoe, just to these exposed foam bits here, and show you how easy it is, and then these will be protected and will last a lot longer than without. So no further ado, let's get protecting. We're going to apply the shoe goo, and even with a wonky hand, this should be fairly straightforward. So as I say, shoe goo is the brand name, and this stuff is really good. You can get it pretty much anywhere, I think, and Amazon is the place that I picked this up. So it's basically plastic cement. So you pick this up from most shoe kind of places, and this is basically rubber cement. So you can buy rubber cement. Shoe goo is the brand name for this particular one. The reason why I like this is because it's clear as well, and this is something I've used in the past on all my expensive shoes. It doesn't necessarily mean you just need to use it on your expensive shoes. You can put it on all your shoes. So I would, again, as I've said, do a patch test, and I take no responsibility if it goes wrong. But for me, on the shoes that I've put this on the rubber outsoles, it's actually been fantastic. So this is how you basically apply it to shoes. So I'm going to apply it to my Hoka Rocket X on the basis that I want them to last a little bit longer. So I'm just going to open up shoe goo now, and it's basically, as it says, it's like this rubber gel stuff. It can be quite thick, so I would do it at a layer at a time. So I'm just going to put it on the bits that are exposed, and I'd probably do like a pea-sized amount at a time, and then you basically use your toothpick just to sort of spread around. So just try and get a thin layer. So it's really quite thick, and even if it does look a bit patchy, what it will do is it will separate down. So what it will actually do is, even if it looks patchy, it does actually form a really smooth layer. So don't be too concerned about if it looks really patchy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of apply it around. It's quite easy to manipulate. This is quite easy to manipulate. Just be careful, and I would have some wipes handy for it as well, just in case you get bits on it that you don't want to use. So I've got bits there. It's quite easy just to take off. It's not like super glue where if you get it on your fingers it won't come off. It's not that type. So it kind of takes a little while, but I think it's really worth it. So kind of just start applying it to places where they're exposed, and from my experience it doesn't ruin the shoes. It just forms this really nice layer on the super shoe. So I'm just going to just sort of apply it on these little bits here, and the bits where I can already see the wear. So you can put it around the rubber bits, doesn't really matter for me aesthetically if I get it on the bits that are already there. And when you get to the side bits, so what can happen is it will when you put it flat, it will move on its own. So what I tend to do is I tend to just kind of put a thinnish layer around the side to stop it from curving around the sides, but it depends on how neat you want it to be. So I'm going to keep applying it there. I'll just apply some to the back bit here, and even with my elbow in the state that it's in, it's quite easy to do. So, you know, I'll just apply it to the back and try and get it as neat as possible. But again, I'm not bothered about, it's all about protection for me, as it is in life. And you can even pick some up and move it around. So it's actually quite easy, as I say, to move around, and it will kind of move. So don't think you need to put it on thick, because it will spread and it will move. And then if afterwards you can put some more on, so once it's dried and it's sort of cured, you can then put some more on the top. So I'm just kind of got to put it on places where I think it's gonna. I'm gonna put it in between this layer as well, just have another layer of protection, and then you just sort of smooth it around. And the reason why I use a toothpick is because it's basically quite small, so you can use pretty much anything really, but I find a toothpick's really easy. And again, the best way to do this for me is just do it a small bit at a time. So I kind of do like a pea-sized amount at a time, and then it kind of reminds me of honey. Actually, that's what it's like. It's like honey, but you won't want to put this on your toast. And then I'm just going to kind of spread it all the way around. So even if it drips onto the carbon plate, especially in these shoes, I'm not too bothered, to be honest with you. You can get a wipe afterwards and kind of wipe it all down, but I kind of just, you can move it around. I'm just trying to put it in the places where I think that, you know, it's going to be much protected. So my number one thing here is that if you want it to look in a particular way, you can spend that time, and this stuff is pretty good actually. You can move it around, and what it will do is when it dries, it forms this plastic layer, this really clean layer, and it looks really shiny, and I think it looks quite good. I'm going to apply a little bit more to the back here. I'm going to get it in all these little crease bits in between. Apply it around the sides. I'm going to apply it in the places where I think that it's going to wear down the most. I can already see it here. So what I didn't say, what I did beforehand, was I cleaned the area. So the best thing to do is obviously clean the area of debris, clean the area of dirt and stuff like that, just to give it a platform. There you go, put it all on the back. Yeah, again, I'm not really fussed if it goes on here. I'm going to try and get it in between the little groove there, little gaps, try and give it as much protection as possible. And it doesn't weigh a lot, so it's not going to impact the weight of the shoe pretty much either. I'm going to get some more here, more in the middle. And as I say, when it's in this state, you can clean it all off with a wipe. I've got children, so a baby wipe is pretty much the best thing in the world. It cleans most things up. But as I say, just the thicker it is, the more that it will move. So what you might find is when you put this flat, and you need to put it flat, is that it will dry quite flat. But what you'll find is you'll see like it trying to move along the side there, so it may spill over, which is fine. But you know, if you're fussed about that, then obviously you might want to think about how you put a really thin part on the side bit here and just try to move it all up, because it will sort of try to move, and as I say, it will dry really smooth. So don't be too concerned about if it's like lumpy now, because it basically wants to flatten out, and that's what it will do. So don't be too concerned about it being like Artex. If you don't know what Artex is, because you're of a particular age. It's basically plaster that you used to put on ceilings to make these patterns, and it would stay. This stuff is not the same as that. It wants to flatten out, and as you can already see, there's drips all the way down the side, which is basically just trying to flatten out. So with these shoes, again, where I think the wear is quite a bit, I'm going to put an extra layer in there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the rubber pads as well. And this is not a criticism of Hoka at all. You know, they make the shoes as they do, but for me personally, I'm just going to put it on. I just like to add an extra layer of protection because, you know, why not? So then when this dries, if you feel like you need to add more, to add another layer on top. So I'm going to add a bit more protection on these little pad things here, because on this pad here I think I went over a stone or a thorn or something, and this will protect that. So that will then seal that off as well. So this is really good. So if you've got like patches on your shoes, little holes, little things, you can just put some of this on there, leave it to dry flat, and yeah, it will be sealed up. So this shoe is a perfect example. So this is the second shoe. So one is you've got this worn part here. So this is a perfect example here of where the shoe's worn. So this is my dominant foot. So this is the right foot. Now I don't tend to strike in the heel, but for some reason in these, probably because I was really tired and my hamstring went, I was forced to run on the heel. So as you can see, there's some it's really quite worn here. So I want to stop that from kind of happening. So the foam is absolutely fine, but I want to protect that a little bit more. So that's why this stuff is absolutely perfect to stop that from happening. So it doesn't have to be your super shoe, it can be any shoe at all. So I'm going to again apply this to the second shoe. This is the second shoe. And you can be as liberal as you like. Put it in the places and put quite a bit on there. So that's probably enough. As you can already see, it starts to drip down the side. So basically this stuff is like honey, really. It's that consistency. And I'm just going to basically, well, I've applied it all, I'm just going to apply it and really apply it to this area here quite thickly where it's worn down. And I haven't actually seen these shoes since did the race, and I've cleaned them up. They've actually worn quite a lot actually. So my initial concern, and don't get me wrong, these Rocket X2s are absolutely fantastic. They're such a good shoe. One of my favourite shoes 2024. In fact, one of my favourite shoes actually. Pretty much up there with the Alpha Fly. I love that shoe. I think this shoe's fantastic. I've really enjoyed this shoe, but I was sceptical about this exposed foam, and I think I'm kind of been proven right. I've not put a lot of kind of miles in this shoe yet, and the wear on the dominant foot is yeah, it doesn't look too good. So again, I'm just gonna, as you can see that there's a little bit there, just running down, but this stuff will, as I say, will flatten itself out. So don't be too concerned about making it too smooth, because it does that itself. Just be concerned about that it will drip down. So if you aesthetically don't want it to drip down the side and look a particular way, then you kind of have to thin it out to the sides and make sure that you keep it super flat. Otherwise you'll have the drip marks on the side. But other than that, I kind of, you know, as I've said, I don't really care from an aesthetic perspective really, but I just want it protected. So you know, I've applied quite a lot to the shoe. So what I'll probably do with this area is, when it's dried, I'll probably put another layer on top of here as well. So just going to do this front part here. So I want this protected. On the other shoe, on the left shoe, I hit a thorn or something on it, and yeah, it created a hole. So I want to make sure that that's protected. I'm going to do the same with this middle bit here. So I'd probably say at the moment I've probably not used half, I've probably used a quarter on 2 shoes, which is not too bad considering, you know, for, what's that, it's £15. So what are we talking about? £3-4 per shoe to protect them. I actually don't think that's bad at all, to be honest with you. I'm using the branded stuff. You can get shoe cement. I've not tested shoe cement. This is shoe cement, but I don't know if they do something different to this. And this is the brand name. So Shoe Goo, as I say, is the brand name. And always, and I can't stress this enough, do a patch test first. I haven't done a patch test on these, but these are my shoes and that's fine, but I recommend you do a patch test on your shoes first. A patch test, effectively just find an area that you don't mind on the shoe if it gets ruined, and yeah, put a little bit on, let it cure, dry for as long as possible, and yeah, and then see how it takes. So normally, you know, if it dries clear and it's fine and there's no kind of, what you're looking for is you're looking for a reaction from the foam and the chemicals in the cement. If it discolours the shoe, doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't work on the shoe. It could just mean that there's already something on there. So make sure you clean it first, clean the shoe first, do the patch test, and if it comes back clear and it's fine, then I think you're safe to proceed. But again, they're your shoes, I take no responsibility for that. So let's finish this one up. So as you can see, I'm a bit quicker on this one because I just lobbed it on. You can do that, and I just want protection on the shoe. I'm just going to go around the edges now, just sort of trying to prevent the drips. As I say, I'm really concerned about this area here, so what I might do is I probably will end up putting another layer on this bit here, which is fine. So I'll let this dry, let this cure for a day. We'll come back and we'll see how that does. I'll do a part 2 on the video just to show you what it's like when it dries. And yeah, so I'm just making sure now that all the gaps are filled in, and it'll be really easy to see. So when we come back, I'll show you in part 2 how you can see, and then what you need to do, just basically add it in again. So I've covered the second shoe. That's pretty easy. So there you have it. That's how you can fix your shoes, or you can protect your shoes using Shoe Goo, which is very, very handy. And I'm not being paid by them to make the video. It's just this stuff is so good. And I know that there are lots of things happening, like the London Marathon and lots of other events happening. So if you want to protect those shoes, which I know you work hard for and you spend lots and lots of money on, a layer of that is fantastic, and they will just make them last a little bit longer. So as an update, the fractured elbow is healing. It's still quite sore, but I should be able to run in it quite soon. So I plan to make lots of videos and content coming up soon. Obviously if things change, then I will let you know, but I'm planning on doing lots of videos in between until it heals. There's lots of shoes I need to test, one of them being the Adidas. There's lots of shoes I need to test, one of them being this Adidas Solar 5 here, and lots of things coming up. So in the meantime, I will make lots of content, and please don't forget to like, favourite and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.